Hello, everyone. Hope you guys are doing well. I have been having a great time at the sessions. This is my first time ever at the chatbot sessions, and I'm having a great time. Uh, just give me quick 15, 20 minutes of yours, and before we go on for the coffee break. OK, so my topic is the potential of AI for your personal productivity improvement. And it's something which we all already know of, but probably a revision or a net new for some of us. OK. So quickly starting with the agenda. Firstly, a namaste to all of you. I'm basically an Indian in the UK for the last 4 years now. Been with Amazon for all the 4 years, working with the Amazon Alexa team for making Alexa the world's best personal assistant. Cool. So a fun fact about Namaste, firstly. Namaste is associated both with Hinduism and yoga. The word comes from the language Sanskrit and literally means bowing to you and is used as a common greeting in India. Now, the reason why I took 30 seconds of my 20 minutes to talk about this was to tell you that basically there's all this information which is available everywhere, right? But we need some help or some summarization for getting that information. And that is where LLMs and Gen AI can really help us get that. OK, so a quick show of hands. Can you all raise your hands for me to generally gauge how many of you are product managers here? OK, I see 7 of them. If you're a designer, cool. And if you're an engineer, awesome. And if you all are looking to improve your productivity using LLMs, awesome, all of you. So you're in the right place. OK. So let's start. So firstly, to start with, on how do LLMs work? So before we get into the details, I think it is important to take stock of what hype is and what is reality. You are probably familiar with the Gartner hype cycle and similar models that describe how a new technology is adopted. We typically see an explosion of hype as the industry and public get incredibly excited about the new technology. But then we usually reach a point when we realize that it isn't as good as we think. As an example, if you have used ChatGPT to write a poem for you, you may have been blown out by what it can do, right? But if you now ask it to write 10 different poems of similar themes, you'll see that they're all the same. And then we start perceiving ChatGPT or similar LLMs like a fancy autocomplete and nothing more. And I think that is a mistake. That's not true. The truth is somewhere in the middle, and there is no doubt that AI tools can multiply your productivity right now. But we need to know on how to use it correctly, what it is good at, and what humans still excel at. Once we answer those questions, we can leverage it as end users, but also begin to integrate large language models into our product themselves. So what happens when you prompt an LLM? So when I said some people use these tools as fancy autocompletes, and although I feel that it is disingenuous to the capability of the models, there's some truth to it. When you put together your question, which is basically a prompt, into an LLM, it isn't doing any thinking. It is using statistics to predict your next best words for your reply. What comes out to be complete junk is, or it can be legible but not useful, or something truly valuable. So as users of these tools, we can directly influence how many times we get valuable responses just by using our prompts. Let's look at some of the examples here. So I'm going to use the Bing Copilot image generator as an example, but the fundamentals across all LLMs generally remain the same. Let's say I'm imagining a photo of the wonderful bakery in Edinburgh. So if you ask it for an image of a bakery, you are probably not going to get back anything useful. But a very generic image of a bakery, you will not know whether it's, or the LLM could never know whether it's inside the bakery, outside the bakery, baked good, logos. Yeah. So the prompt is so vague, and if you put garbage in, you get garbage out. Let's try again. So this time with a better prompt, and where we say bakery in Edinburgh, brick buildings. So we just say bakery in Edinburgh, right? So this is slightly better, but it still does not give you the main essence. It has something to do with the Scottish looking buildings, but there's no way this can be used. Let's get more specific now for our bakery in Edinburgh. There are brick buildings, cobblestone road in foreground. Okay, so this is starting to look really better. You can really tell that it is something trying to give it an Edinburgh theme, and it is looking better, but it's not 100% what you imagined. Let's give it one more shot. So this time our prompt is much more detailed. It's bakery on the side of a road in Edinburgh, brick buildings, cobblestone road in foreground, Edinburgh Castle in distance, people walking on sidewalks, photo, it should be basically a picture, the golden hour, it should be lively, and an award-winning photo. This looks a lot better. The only thing that has changed in all these cases is basically my prompt. And therefore, the prompt is one of the most important aspects to get right when using a generative AI system. So as you can see, the AI model is exactly the same in all of these cases. It is no more or less intelligent. The only variable in all of this was the prompt. And that is why the prompt engineering and the way how an end user writes a prompt becomes so critical. The same process applies to all the LLMs as well. It's just harder to see. So despite the appearance of doing lots of work in the background, LLMs perform no calculations. It's only ever picking the most likely next word using statistics. It can't read your mind either. If you ask it something vague and generic, you are going to get something vague and generic. And finally, responses are generally limited to the knowledge in the training set. The latest models do show some emergent behavior of incorporating parameters on runtime, but that's for another time. Cool. So a quick recap. So by using this, we are now at the peak of the inflated expectations of getting your results on how you want it to be. And so what basically we learned from this was that AI tools are basically picking the most probable answer. Cool. Now for the next use case, I'm going to refer to Claude by Anthropics, but the fundamental technology shared is the same with all the other AI tools as well. We don't need to go into the details of these models, but we will see on how they create something new. They are pre-trained. AI labs ingest large amounts of data to pre-train these models, and then they use the transformer architecture. Cool. OK. So for the product managers out there and for the other colleagues as well, if you ask Claude that what is the single most important KPI for our product manager, the answer given by Claude was daily active users, which probably is great, right? It makes sense and probably is correct. Let's refresh the page. And let's ask Claude the same question exactly again. And the answer has changed. It has become user engagement. But we just thought it was daily active users, which Claude just answered, right? So why did it change? I don't understand it. So let's refresh it again. And this time, the answer has become a third one, which is user adoption and retention. So something definitely seems wrong. This cannot be right, OK? So what Claude actually is doing is that it's trying to basically pick the most probable words to answer your prompt and make sure that it's answering you correctly by all the model and the learning which it has. It is not trying to analyze or come up with a logic for answering your question. And this is when you feel that what the LLMs are doing is through a trough of disillusionment and actually a fancy autocomplete. But the good news is that it only gets better from here. There are very specific techniques we can use to get some incredible responses from the systems. And we have all heard and we have seen some great sessions around prompt engineering as well. So what is a prompt? A prompt is basically a natural language text that requests the AI to perform a specific task. Why is prompt important? Because that would make your LLMs and your answering techniques much more efficient and effective. We are past the phase where everyone was trying to just make a fool of the LLMs by answering or asking questions which the LLMs would wrongly respond and post it on social media for fun, right? So prompt crafting basically is an art. There is an engineering workstream for prompt engineering, which try to get the meaningful responses from a zero-shot response by using contextual data. But on the end user, it is on us to craft multi-shot prompts. So moving forward, this is a framework which we generally use for creating of prompts in a methodical way. The first one is that you always start with a goal. How much are you wanting the AI to do the heavy lifting? Do you want just a creative, or do you want some in-depth analysis with high-quality outputs, which is typically known as a multi-shot prompt? The next step is explaining the situation. It is guessing the most probable set of words, so the better you can explain, the better. Probably assign a persona with the prompt that you are a product manager looking to pitch to the CEO of your company for a new proposal, and then try to get the responses. The next is to add context. So the context basically will help you, or help the LLM to understand the background on where you are coming from and what you are wanting to do, and what is your scope and what you are planning to achieve. So the context becomes the most important part. And you can also use copy-pasting documents or large amount of text and putting them into the system for getting the result. The next step is that you should be very clear in giving the LLM a task on what do you think or what do you need the output to be. Datas, ideas, frameworks are what you are thinking of, and it's basically a create, edit, transform, and recreation process till you get your output. And the final one is that the output you want it to be, whether you want it to be as a pitch, or you want it to be to a non-technical user, or do you want the output to be in the form of a table. And that is how you finally use this framework for getting a valid response or a useful response. So the key takeaway. So at this point, we understand that LLMs are hugely important and useful. And that is when we are at a plateau of productivity. So the Gen AI tools are incredibly useful when used correctly. OK. And so quickly briefing you about the LLMs offering, which Amazon is very heavily investing on right now. There's Trainium, Q, and then there's Bedrock. Trainium is the machine learning accelerator that AWS, which is the Amazon Web Services purpose built for deep learning trainings of 100 billion plus parameter models. Trainium is also used in the background of a lot of Amazon internal models as well. Q is a tool which is for the AWS customers again, but very similar to the model or the tools which we have for Gen AI text generation and answering methodology. And then Amazon Bedrock is something which is the platform where you have option of multiple models, you have the playground, and you can create your own GPT kind of systems as well. So this was it. Amazon internally also has a system called PartyRock, which is a platform built over Bedrock, where people can create your own GPTs and use them for your needs. Cool. So that is all which I had. I would love to hear and learn from you guys as well, and if you have any questions around this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We don't have any questions from the online community. Do we have questions from the floor? Maybe one from my side. You know, like if you really think also about yourself personally, like, you know, what was one of the greatest cases where you personally, in your experience, saw like a great leap in productivity for yourself in what you do?
Oh, yeah, great question. Thank you for that, Chris. So something which heavily improved my productivity was analyzing on customer research data, which we have, and which are usually in the quantitative surveys, where we have thousands of responses. And going through each of them usually incorporates some kind of a bias. And that is where the LLMs or the large language models really help you summarize that and get you the result, which can be really beneficial and for improvement for yourself, so that you do not miss critical inputs as well. Yeah, so analyzing of quantitative research data was one of the major ones.
Okay, thank you. Another question? If not, then thank you very much, and I wish you all
Thank you for having me.
a good final break, and then we're gonna go to the finale of this great summit for two more sessions.